Hi everyone, welcome again today to Indian Story Read Along. Today we're going to read a story from one of my old Chandamama books from January 1992. That was what, almost 30 years ago, 28 years ago? It was a long time ago. And so this is a story that has to do with back in the days when people were traveling from place to place through the woods and there were no cars. They only had horse-drawn wagons. And back in those days, there were a lot of people who were like bandits. They called them dacoits. They would stop people and rob them of everything that they had. These people were usually going to weddings or other kind of things in other villages and other towns, and they had a lot of money and jewels with them. So dacoits would be in the woods hiding out there. So that might be something you didn't know. This story is called The Clever Bandit, and we're going to read it right now. So here we go. Once upon a time, a sannyasi, that means a sage or a hermit, someone who has given up everything in the world and they're just in the woods and doing tapas and penance and reflecting on themselves. That's a sannyasi. A sannyasi built an ashram for himself, a small home, a small hut, on the way to a forest. Nobody knew from where he had come or when. Suddenly, one fine morning, people who went that way saw the hut and the sannyasi seated beneath a tree in front. He was tall and well built. His forehead was smeared with holy ash, with a vermilion mark in the center. This made his face aglow. His dark flowing beard added to his handsomeness. People believed that he possessed some miraculous powers. There were occasions when he hinted that they were not far from wrong. No wonder they flocked to him to watch his miracles and pay their respects. Soon he was drawing a lot of people every day, and the way to the forest was no longer desolate. That means it was no longer lonely and devoid of people. So there you see the picture of all those people up ahead, and they're all bringing him things and praying to him, and there's tons of people. It's no longer a lonely, scary forest. The crowds attracted thefts and robberies, much to the annoyance of the people. So they would visit the ashram during the day and invariably left the place before it got dark, lest they were troubled by robbers on the way. Some people took complaints of robbery to the sannyasi, who, however, assured them that they could go to him without any fear, and he would take care of the robbers. The next few days, people could go that way without any molestation. That means nobody bothering or interfering with them. They now had more faith and confidence in the sannyasi. One night, a wealthy gentleman, along with his wife and children, were going that way in a cart. As he was on a long journey to attend a wedding, the man carried a lot of cash. His wife wore many ornaments. The time was nearing midnight. Suddenly, the cart was stopped by a strong-built man. He had a torch in one hand and held a long stick by the other. He really looked fearsome. The gentleman in the cart cried out, "Ah, a robber!" And there you see the picture right there. So you can see, they're going to talk about this a little bit later. There's the man in the cart, there's his family in the cart with him, and like I told you, not a car, it's pulled by a cow. And there's the robber right in front. But in the background, you can see some people there. Who are those people? It looks like it's the robber's gang. Let's find out. So the gentleman cries, "Ah, a robber!" On hearing this, the man who looked like a wrestler shouted, "I'm the bandit chief. You can see my men in that pit over there. You can't escape, so it'll be better if you hand over to me all the money and valuables you're carrying. I shall then let you go back. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. If you hesitate, that means if you pause or if you don't do what I'm asking, for a moment, I shall call my men. I don't have to tell you what they would do to you." The man threatened them with dire consequences. Those inside the cart listened to him, holding their breath, and looked toward the pit where the man waved his torch. And they could see a dozen fearful men holding daggers and sticks, ready to obey his command. The gentleman and his family realized that there was no escape from them, so they handed him all the money and jewelry they had with them. The bandit tied up everything in a piece of cloth and allowed the cart to turn back and go the way it had come. A little later, a trader came that way after closing his shop. The bandit accosted him and threatened him. "Part with your money, or else my men over there will make a mincemeat of you." He then pointed to the men in the pit by waving his torch. The trader quietly handed him a bag and said, "I had a poor collection today, just about 50 rupees. Here, you take all that." He then turned toward the men in the pit and said in a louder voice so that they could hear him, "I've given your chief 50,000 rupees. He'd only give him 50 rupees. But he says he's giving him 50,000 rupees. Why is he saying that? Don't fail to take your full share from him. He probably expected them to come out of the pit and quarrel with their chief for their share of the booty. So he thought that maybe he can escape with all of them jumping over each other to get all that money. The bandit examined the trader thoroughly to ensure that he had not kept more money elsewhere on him before he let him go. "But didn't you notice something?" He yelled out, "Oh, I gave him 50,000 rupees. And nobody moved a muscle. Isn't that interesting?" So then, the traders soon reached a chowtry, meaning a station, which unusually had a lot of soldiers. He went to their captain and told him about his experience. "I know where I met him in the forest. If we go immediately, we may be able to surround them. There are hardly a dozen of them, and we can easily catch them." The captain and the traders started for the forest, asking the soldiers to follow them from a distance. They were met by the bandit. He made the usual threat. He told the captain and the trader, who had covered part of his face to avoid recognition, "I advise you, part with your money here and now, or I'll call my men over there." But the captain was unnerved by his threat. He was not scared. He had a good look at the bandit and a glance at the pit supposed to harbor his men. All the while, he was also contemplating, that means thinking about, a strategy to catch all of them. He took the bandit unawares by suddenly catching hold of him by his strong arms. On hearing the captain shout, his soldiers rushed and tied the bandit well with a rope. The captain then ordered, "Go and catch his men in that pit." The soldiers ran to the pit and jumped in. They did not meet with any resistance. In fact, all the robbers stood still. When the soldiers examined them closely, they found them to be mere effigies. That means just dummies, just like scarecrows, cleverly made with the help of hay and bamboo sticks. The soldiers had a good laugh and went back to their captain to report. "Now you all know why the bandits didn't jump up when the trader said he had given their boss 50,000 rupees. They weren't even real." So the captain asked them to take the bandit to the ashram nearby. The sannyasi has been staying there for a long time. Perhaps he might recognize this bandit and tell us about his gang. They all then left for the ashram. At the ashram, there was no trace of any sannyasi in the hut. The captain and his soldiers, however, found a lot of cash, jewelry, and other valuables concealed in various places in the hut. A greater surprise was when they came upon a dark flowing beard hanging from a peg on the wall. There's the beard right there. The bandit, who was watching all this, gave out a loud laugh. You need not search for the sannyasi in vain. You can find him if you were to fix that beard on my face. I am a sannyasi during the day and a bandit at night. I had made those effigies to threaten people and extort money from them. I was responsible for all the robberies. Everybody was stupefied at the bandit's revelation. The end. Isn't that cool? This is actually a very smart bandit. They said in the beginning of the story there was nobody in those woods until the sannyasi came along. So then the sannyasi and the bandit, the same guy, he made all those people come to him and worship him, bring him things, and then there was suddenly a lot of traffic in the woods. And when there's a lot of traffic in the woods, he turned it to the bandit, and then he took advantage of all the traffic. He's a pretty smart guy, I think. So anyway, this was another story from Indian Story Read Along. I want you to join us again next time because it's so fun when we read stories together. If you like this story and other stories, think about subscribing to our channel. We'll see you again next time.